A Florida State University professor has launched a podcast about how the arts have changed the lives of those in prison. David Gussack says the podcast is designed to raise awareness about the positive impact of arts programs in prisons and inspire others to get involved. The first 8 episodes of the podcast will be available Sunday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, with new episodes released each Monday. Now, in August, we spoke with him about how arts helps inmates process emotions and memories.